I received an email from Kurt asking if I would explain the music to Angel Eyes. In his email, he stated that he found multiple arrangements using different harmonies and wondered why they all seemed to work. He also mentioned my arrangement was different as well. For those of you who are not familiar with the song, I strongly recommend you listen to a few different versions of this haunting work which weaves in and out between major and minor. Angel Eyes is most often written in 1 flat D minor with a hint of Dorian in its own natural key. The verses of the song can be played very basically, in this case only using 5 chords, or in a more involved complex style, which is one indication of a very well written song. Here are just a few bars to give you an idea of what the song is all about. The first 4 bars I played was minimum. Then I followed with the last 4 bars of the verse in a more intense and aggressive style. Please be aware that I will be analyzing the harmony movements and voice leading rather than giving you a tutorial on how to play the song. It would be helpful if you're up to speed on harmonies associated with minor and Dorian mode for that matter. For those of you not familiar, I have posted a number of tutorials on those very subjects. Enough said, let's jump in and start with a look at a very simple lead sheet of Angel Eyes. Well, we're going to start off first of all with a 1 chord. Very basic move down to the 6 chord. Down a half a step down onto the 5 chord and back onto the 1 chord. Very simple, quite basic. I'm going to scratch the 5 chord here mainly because it throws the balance off with that coming in only on the 8th note. And unlike in major, the 6th chord is quite happy to go directly back to the 1 chord. So here we continue along, we move on to a 6 chord and directly back to the 1 chord. Now here we approach the Dorian 6 chord, B minor 7 flat 5. Well, more correctly, it's actually a B half diminished 7th. And then it continues over onto the 5 chord. Well, again, the balance is a little off here since we have 2 chord changes per bar. So let's break this 5 chord into a subdominant, a 2 going to the 5. The 2 chord would normally be E diminished. However, because of the A natural, that'll be in conflict with the diminished 5th. So let's just go with an E minor 11 since the A is the 11. And then we'll bring, let's make that a 13 and bring that over on the 3rd beat. Another approach to that E minor 11 would be using the acoustic root on this chord and make that a G9 chord. And that would be labeled a 5 of 2, going to the 2 chord, onto the 5 chord, and swinging back over to our 1 chord. Moving to the 6, forget the 5, let's go directly to the 1, 6, 1, 6, pretty basic. This we will drop onto the A. Well, that should not be written that way. It should be written A7 plus or A7 plus 5, both interchangeable. Augmented because the F is acting as the augmented 5th, and onto our 1 chord. Since D is the tonic and we're on our 1 chord, I'd probably scrap the 7 because the 7 tends to destabilize a tonic 1 minor chord. So let's give this a listen to. Very simply starts off on the 1 chord, goes to to the 6th chord, B flat 9 in this case. Remember I ditched out the A7, the 5 chord? Da-dum, kind of just kills the flow of it. So I took that out and it's a little smoother. So the 1 chord, D minor, 6th chord, 1 chord, 6, back to 1, Dorian 6, or I could have used G13 to the 2 chord, and goes around again pretty well the same. Back to 1, 6, 5, A9 with a +5, and into the tonic 1 chord. Back to the A9 augmented for a turnaround, and back into the 2nd verse. Let's take a look at a more sophisticated lead sheet and see where that takes us. Like before, we start on the 1 chord, D minor. Then in most arrangements of Angel Eyes, these 2 diminished chords appear, which support what is happening melodically. So what chord numbers would be appropriate in this case? Neither one of these 2 chords are found in either key of D minor or D Dorian. Possibly, I suppose we could write across the top here, chromatic parallel diminish in short form. However, if I apply acoustic roots to these chords, B diminished 7 would become E7 flat 9, and the B flat diminished would become E flat 7 flat 9. Now we can put the chord numbers on top. This would be more than likely called an alternative alt 2 chord. Regular 2 chord would be E diminished, and this would be just considered a flat 2 chord. And that would move us over to D minor, the 1 chord. What are acoustic roots? Please visit my tutorial, The Diminished 7th Chord and More, which explains them in detail. Now here the arranger goes from D minor to a D minor 7 flat 5, or in other words, a D half diminished 7. A better approach would be to do what we did before and go to a B flat 9, and that would be the 6th chord, which contains, of course, the same notes as our D minor 7 flat 5 or D half diminished 7. So either case, the A will step up to the B flat, or the D could go through even a passing 7th. We could have a D minor going through a C and onto B flat, which would be kind of nice. From B flat 9, well, let's get rid of these guys here. They take us to the 3 chord, which is the F. I think probably a better approach would be if we just let the 6th chord go directly back to the D minor 1 chord. The last thing you'd want here is an F major chord. Now, although the F is the 3 chord in D minor, it is also the tonic chord in F major. Not a great choice if you want to maintain the minor flavor, especially at this point. D minor then goes to B minor 7 flat 5 or B half diminished 7, which would be considered a Dorian 6. Or we could even change that to a G13. That would be a 5 of 2. And that would take us to the 2 chord, our E minor 7, and on to the 5 chord, A7, and this will take us to the second half of the verse, D minor. I could even substitute the A7 for an E flat 7. That would drop right onto the D, and we call that a flat 2 chord. So the second verse is very close to the first verse, as you'll see. Okay, let's take a listen to those 2 diminished chords and going into the second inversion on D minor. Second inversion, not here, it would be kind of silly going. And it steps right back up to the root of the 6th chord. Here's using the acoustic root, the E through the E flat to the D tonic. Let's listen to that. Just passing 7th out of the B flat. And let's continue with the next 4 bars. There's my Dorian 6. Or I could have used the G13, the 5 of 2. My 2 chord. Or I could have gone through the flat 2. Oh, that's nice. And I'll just finish it up. Bridge. They tend to just drop down by minor tenths onto C minor 7, and here's where we move out of minor and move into major. C minor is going to act as a 2 chord of B flat going to the 5 chord, the 7, and into the 1 chord. So now we're in the key of B flat major. Briefly, the composer does it again. Comes up through the B diminished, that would be considered a 7 of 2, and repeats 2, 5, and 1. Then he moves it up a half tone and does the same thing. B minor 7, the 2 of A going to E7, the 5 of A and into A. Then he has to scramble to get back into the original key. Let's listen to that in context. I'll just take it coming into the bridge. Now he's got to get back into the key of D, so he uses that good old equal division of the octave, the leap of the tritone, up or down. I'm going to jump down. So here we've got almost the same idea, 2, 5, 1 into D flat, but we're not going to get into D flat. Now I'm going to bring it up a half tone. Now I've got my 2, 5 back into the 1. Or I could go through the flat 2. And I'll just take it on home. I'm doing kind of my own little thing. Hope you like it, and then we'll bring this to conclusion. a great song. Fun to play, fun to analyze. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave a comment or so. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, be kind to each other and bye for now.